Hey there and welcome to the UkeStuff channel. Today we're going to do a tutorial for the play-alongs of Invisible by Anna Clendening. This was requested in the Tri-Sider. If you look at the description below, there's actually a Tri-Sider where you can upvote a song, and this one has been a pretty popular request. I can't do all songs. There are some songs that fall out of content areas that I'm comfortable with, but I do take a look at that list quite often, and as I choose new songs, some of them I choose that I want to do, and then sometimes I look at the list. So I'm happy to bring this song to you from the Tri-Sider list. Now, a couple things before we get going. First of all, with these tutorials, first of all, I look at the chords with GCEA Ukulele, which would be soprano, concert, or tenor. Then I look at the chords for DGBE Baritone Ukulele, and then I talk about strumming. Also, there is what I call a lyric-based play-along that only shows the chords in lyrics. There's no little chord charts that goes with that, and that is for groups and people that want to play along on a non-transposing instrument that isn't ukulele, or a group that wants to move beyond looking at the chord charts and just following along. That is called what I call a chord chart. A lot of people call tabs. And if you want to play along with exactly with that, how that looks in the lyric-based version, if you go to ukestuff.info, you'll see a link in the description below. You can actually find the actual chord chart or tabs for this song and follow along with it. UkeStuff is a collaborator with this site, and we've been working together since last year to provide every new song here on the UkeStuff channel and on the Uke Play-Alongs channel, also on the UkeStuff channel. And I should also mention that if you look below on this bottom bar, you should see titles along the way where you can click and follow and go to parts of the video that matter to you. So keep that in mind. That's also in the description below, and there's a bunch of other stuff in the description too, so take a look at it if you get a chance. All right, let's take a look at the chords you need on GCEA Ukulele. I'm going to be providing chords in two different keys, both the key of F and key of G. The G is a little bit easier to play on GCEA Ukulele. Now for this song, I will be using a horse concert ukulele. It's a relatively new brand on Amazon, and I am testing this one out and going to be doing a full review of this one on this channel sometime soon. But again, I'm impressed, and again, another budget-priced entry-level ukulele that has some really nice features. I'll be bringing that to you soon. So let's take a look at the chords you need first in the key of the harder key of F. First chord you are going to need is the D minor chord in the sequence. So basically, again, you make the F chord and add the third finger to the third string second fret. D minor really isn't as hard as it seems like once you realize it's so close to F. So you can play the F chord and then play the D minor chord. Very, very easy. The second chord is the one that's going to trip people up online. This is the one that I see people asking about all the time, especially new players. And by the way, it's the same as F on baritone ukulele and guitar, where a lot of people quit. So this is actually a quitting chord. Thankfully with ukulele, it comes a little bit later in the process as you're learning new songs, but still, it's not as hard as you want to make it out to be. So with the first finger, cover strings 1 and 2 at the first fret, right near the metal fret. Not on it, because then you'll get this, right? But right behind it. And then think about that you're pulling down on the, the fretboard itself, or against the whole neck. And imagine that you're pulling against it while you're holding your ukulele firmly with your right hand. And then just support with your thumb a little bit. You don't have to do a super pinching maneuver. You don't have to do a lot of force to get clear sounds on those first two strings. And then just add fingers 2 and 3. And press just hard enough to get a clear sound. If you get this, it just means that you're not pressing or pulling, pull and press at the same time to get a clear sound. Eventually that will get easier. Practice makes permanent. So keep at it, keep working at your B flat chord. We've already talked about the F chord, and then occasionally in this song, the F chord moves to a C. So those are the last two chords you need, the F and the C. And those are the chords you need for GCEA ukulele in the key of F. Now let's take a look at the chords you need in the key of G. The first chord is the E minor chord. It's one of my favorite chords. I call it the waterfall chord. That's how I explain it to my students. First finger goes on the second fret of the first string. So I'll say it again. First finger goes on the second fret of the first string, and the other fingers just go down like a waterfall right after it. Second finger goes on the third fret of the second string. Third finger goes on the fourth fret of the third string. And that's your E minor chord. Some of the books will show that you need to play all four strings. Not in this case. You can get away with E minor just like that. It works just fine. The second chord you're going to need is the C chord. Pretty standard on ukulele. Then the G chord. Now I saw somebody today actually that was saying that they were having a really hard time with the G chord. To be honest with you, it is the second most used chords in these play-alongs. We have made over 1,200 play-alongs. We're actually now inching towards 1,300 play-alongs. And I actually keep track of every chord that's used in every one of those songs. You can find the full list at ukeplaylongs.com. But the G chord is the second most used chord after C in these play-alongs. Now, admittedly, a lot of these songs have been moved a little bit to fit better on ukulele, but even other ukulele sites like Ukulele Hunt actually tracks the chords that it uses in its songs, and it has found basically the same thing. It's not the G7 that's the second most popular. It's not F, it's G. So it's really worth getting to know. So I've been thinking about it. What makes it easier for me? Well, first of all, with my students, they learn it third. We do a one finger chord, C. F is the second chord we learn, and then G is the third. And yeah, that might be really making it harder right away, but the cool part is once you get that G chord, you can tell your students on any other future chord. Let's say it's a diminished chord of some kind, right? You can say, hey, that might be hard, but remember how hard G was? And they go, yeah. How hard is it now? It's not. Well, guess what? With practice, it makes permanent. So you'll get it. So in thinking about this, a couple things I do with the G chord, I do find that I twist my wrist a little bit. Now notice, I don't bend my wrist. I see lots of people making chords like this, like they're, dinosaur pterodactyl or something like that. Nope, that's not like that at all. It's with my wrist, I find that I rotate my wrist a little bit. So instead of coming straight across like a C like this, I rotate my wrist a little bit to make a G chord. And then when I come at the right angle, those first finger 1 and 2 plant just right in the right spot, and then the third finger can come right in between them. And that's really, I think, the secret is the little bit of the wrist and letting fingers 1 and 2 go in the right spot. I've had a lot of students that try to flip fingers 2 and 1, but in the long run, I don't think that helps them. Think about this. If you're looking at an ukulele chart, all right, I've seen the books. I've actually seen the oldest ukulele method. It's by Ernest Kai, and I think the oldest one is 1910. I actually ordered a copy of it from the University of Hawaii. They had a copy of it that they would photocopy and send to me. It's out of copyright, so they can do that. And I took a look at it. These fingerings and chord shapes have been used since 1910 at the latest. I mean, probably earlier than that. There's a reason why these chord shapes are used. They function. Now, later on, there are times that you leave those chord shapes to do something that's easier to play. So you don't have to, it's not like a law, but certainly when you're learning it, there's a reason why you learn the shapes that exist. There's a lot of pedagogy, teaching, and logic in that teaching over the years to reason why you do it. So if you do something different, you might want to ask yourself, why am I doing something different? Because that often leads to error down the road. So make sure that you can do it right before you start doing it wrong, if that makes sense. So again, back to the G chord. And then occasionally you're going to get a D chord. And I have talked about D chord before. Since I went on so long about that other stuff, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it. I'll just tell you, I often find that I play the D chord like the G7 chord. I put my first finger at the top of the third string, first fret, and my other two fingers around it. I don't often play it 1, 2, 3 like the books, but you do what works for you. Even if it's one finger to play the D chord, you do what works for you on that particular chord. D is one of those chords you actually do have a choice of how you want to navigate it. And those are the chords you need on GCEA soprano concert or tenor ukulele. So let's talk about the chords you need on baritone DGBE ukulele. I'll be using my mainland baritone. It's my one and only baritone. It has a cedar top and rosewood back and sides. Now I chose to do this song only in the key of G because the version in the key of F gets a little hairy at times on baritone. And again, many people using these videos are beginners or people that are just relaxing. So let's just do the version in G for now. The first chord you're going to need is the E minor chord. Pretty standard. Then the C chord, add one finger. Then the G chord, another one finger chord. And then finally the D chord. Those are the 4 chords you need on baritone DGBE ukulele. All right, let's talk strumming on this song. Just so you know, right off the bat, there is no right answer here on ukulele. So as long as you're keeping the tempo and you're playing with something that you like, that's what is right. This is a play along. This is not a recreation of the original song. So as long as you're keeping time with the beat and you're happy with it, that's what matters. These are just suggestions for people that ask, and I do get asked a lot. What's the strumming? What's the strumming? What's the strumming? And the real answer is stop worrying so much about the strumming, stick with the beat and play something that you like, and that's what's really important. Have more fun. Don't get bogged down in technicalities. Give yourself some freedom. But for those people that desperately need a strumming pattern, here are a couple things you can do. The first one is going to sound very simplistic, but it's just going to be playing downbeats wherever the chords move. So you're just going to be playing downbeats and going. And occasionally you'll get the D chord thrown in there too. And that's the super simplistic pattern if you need it. Now let's look at a little bit of a harder pattern, and these are all going to be down strums too, but done sort of in a more rhythmic pattern. Be forewarned that there are situations where the chord change from the E minor to the C, or in the other key of D minor to the B flat, there are times that that changes. So there are times you get down, 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 C, C, and there are times you get down, 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 C, if that makes sense. So be ready for that, but watch with the little guide and just be ready to move on the chords. So you know you're going to get down, 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 and then something, or, and then you change to the next chord, the G. And you hold that one generally all the way through, although there are some situations where that changes from G, 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 D, D, or G, 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 D. And it matters on where you're at in the song, which way it goes. It does not stay consistent through the whole song. Now that may seem oversimplistic, but it works. It can be like E minor going 3 times, then to C, and then of course to G. Or it can be E minor going 4 times, then to C once. But that pattern stays the same. Bum, 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 bum. That stays true throughout most of the song. Now, the other thing I want to add is that there are spots in here where I say single strums because the main part of the harmony just goes with a held chord. However, there is still one instrument in the background going. And you have to decide whether you want to follow along with the single strum suggestion or whether you're going to follow along still with the same down, 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 whatever works for you. So don't make it over complicated. Don't try to be crazy with it. Have fun with it. Watch for that sort of pink or trying to remember the term. It seems like kind of like hot pink or purplish pink. Wait for that indicator to start to fade and be ready to move when it does, and you'll make it to that next chord in time. All right, that's pretty much all that you need to know to be successful on Invisible. I hope you've enjoyed the video, And I hope that you'll come back soon sometime and check out some more of the content here. So thanks for watching, and I will be back soon with some more Uke stuff for you.